Going
We'll
live.
scare everyone.
Yeah, going
Everyone
live.
will be concerned. Everyone will be confused. They will think it's a parallel universe.
Well, I'm amazed because you got here literally 60 seconds ago.
Hi!
Caradog is just like, hi. Been ready to go.
This isn't sweat. I have no idea what you mean.
How are we all doing, everyone? How are you?
The door is locked. The lights are off.
Yes.
The blinds are open.
I'll close the blinds, actually, because I'm not expecting anyone else. There were actually a couple of customers that were potentially going to be arriving late. However, they've actually all arrived on time. So
Fabulous.
close the blinds. Keep the peeping toms away. Right.
Hold on a minute. We're streaming. They could just watch us in
I
HD.
suppose, yeah. They could stand outside watching on their phone, being like, "Are they going to notice me?" kind of thing.
Senpai.
That happened to Lewis Rossman on more than one occasion. He'd get creepers literally standing outside his shop with the stream on their phone, being like sort of through the window, and it's just bizarro. Don't do that. Just as an FYI, don't ever do that. Anyway, hi, it's me. I'm outside. Says Sai. Do not.
Hi, it's me, says Sai. I'm in your shop. I have more hats.
Right. Okay. So firstly, because I'm going to start working on this, I reverse clickbaited y'all, not deliberately. I said there will be nothing going on, but actually there's something going on.
Yes.
So yes, I did think this was going to be a talking head because we didn't really have anything to do. And as an FYI, both Caradog and I have a thing we're going to this evening, so we have a hard time limit. I have an alarm that's going to go off in 2 hours. So as soon as that alarm goes off, we are just immediately going to start wrapping up. You okay?
Someone said, "Oh, the camera seeks faces." It does not. It is very much on manual. I am confused.
Fair enough.
However, I focused much further back today than I normally do, just because I was just like, focus on Graham's face. There we go. We're done. We're going live. Goodbye.
Set up in a hurry.
Although the camera may have suddenly gone, because the tripod is cheap.
Yeah, we changed to a different tripod recently because I found one kicking around and I was like, now I have a tripod and I don't have to, and Caradox doesn't have to sit in here all the time. However, it is the shittest tripod ever to try and pod. So it's a case of I want to say it does the job, but also, as you just saw, no, it actually does not do the job.
There's also a PCI blanking bracket just wedged into part of the head arrangement to make it level.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a long-term solution, that tripod. However, it's there for now. So yeah. Incidentally, I ordered a lens for the Nikon.
That's cool.
It's 28 to 55 mil. So probably just a kit lens that would have come with it.
Absolutely.
I paid 50 quid for it, and I was just like, it seems to be how much a lens would cost.
Yeah.
I
find it just surprising how much the price of older kit lenses doesn't seem to really drop off. There is very much that kind of minimum price.
Yeah.
And it's shockingly high for how old the lenses are.
Yeah. Especially because it's a case of one could argue who cares about these old lenses for old cameras kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
to a degree.
I guess I think it's the it comes down to that old adage, and it's the same thing can happen with computer parts as well, where they're worth more as the part than they are as the money. If you see what I mean. Like, there's a lot of old computer parts which a lot of people just don't bother selling because, like an old graphics card, let's say you've got a 960, 960 is worth what, 50 quid, 60 quid maybe?
I would guess on a good day.
Yeah, on a good day, yeah. It's probably sunk even lower, especially if it's a 2 gig one. Yeah. It's probably worth more as a spare tester graphics card than 50 quid in your pocket. Because 50 quid in your pocket, it was just like, okay, well, I spend that filling up the car with petrol. Whereas having a spare graphics card around is incredibly useful. £30, yeah. So, well, there you go then. I'd rather have a spare graphics card than £30 in my pocket. So that's the thing is, so sometimes if everyone is of that same opinion, the minimum price holds high because people are like, well, I'm just not going to sell it if it's worth so little. I'd rather have a spare lens.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's what keeps the price up on some things. But yeah.
Because it was just a case of I was looking for ones in that mount, and I was just surprised as to how expensive they were.
Yeah, there's not
even for the shockingly basic generic ones.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
that's it. Because I was like, I don't need anything fancy. I just want a kit lens.
Yeah, but I just expected much lower pricing on it because it's 13 years old, because it's ultimately been completely replaced as a format and so on. And I was just like, no, okay.
Yeah, I saw a couple of prime lenses that were cheaper. Like I could find a couple of primes for like £30 or so.
But still.
However, also just like, I want at least one kit lens, because obviously a prime is only good for very specific situations. Yeah. Because for those of you who don't know, prime lenses have no zoom on them at all. It's fixed. Fixed focal?
They do not have a changeable magnification.
Yeah.
Because they have zoom on them, depend on what zoom they are.
Yes, yeah.
Zoom is the wrong word to use.
Yes, agreed. It does not have adjustable zoom. However, one of the nice things is because you don't have all of the extra optics that come with that, you get a very, very clear and nice picture with them. So primes are great when you know you've got exactly the distance you need.
Yeah.
However, for me, I'm going to want a kit lens where I can actually just zoom the camera in and out depending on how big the thing on the bench is.
Yeah, and just adjust position and things like that, and just move stuff around.
So yes. Right. And so yes, hello everyone who's saying hi in chat. How you all doing? So what I was saying was, so I reverse clickbaited y'all. I thought we were going to be doing a talking head today because of limited time. However, this PC has been in for repair for a couple of weeks now, like 3 weeks. I think this wretched thing has been kicking around. It's a Mloong brand PC, and I don't know what's wrong with it.
You've confirmed it's not long.
I don't know actually. Go to bring up the bench cam in some capacity. So, that's the brand.
Mloong.
Mloong. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Mloong.
Mloong.
So, anyway, this PC is haunted. There's no other way to put it. It's haunted. So
ghost in the blood.
Yeah.
Got to do more cocaine.
Yeah. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn it on and just show you, because it should boot up and it should freeze, just so you can see what I'm dealing with. And basically, my objective is to try and fix this thing today. It didn't turn on. Is this even plugged in?
Yes, you swapped the capture cards. Good.
Right. All right. So I'll show you how far this thing gets, and the problem I'm dealing with, and basically we're gonna have a chat, and I just want to try and see if I can solve this one. I've already tried replacing a lot of parts with this. I have a replacement part for every component in this PC. Oh my god, it's going to boot. No, it's not. It's fine. It does get this far normally. Wait for it.
Almost.
Right. You see where it's frozen up on the spinner there? That's the fault. This is a clean Windows install. You install, and to prove it, I'm going to go through the Windows install from scratch so you can see, just so you guys know that we're not going mad. Windows 10 flash drive, known good. This is the one. This is the shop one. I use it multiple times a day. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm going to put the drive in the PC. I'm going to reset the PC. I'm going to spam F8 for the boot menu. That's memory related. I've tried changing the memory, but we'll go through it. We'll go through it all, because my God, I want this one solved today. We're going to go through it all one by one.
Is this DDR4? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's the 7th gen, 8th gen.
Yes, this is a...
9th gen, 8th and 9th gen.
Yeah, the motherboard is a B365. It's a weird Chinese motherboard. It's 8th, 9th gen. So yeah. So yes, SATA cable broke. It's got an M.2 SSD in it. It'll be a bad memory controller in the CPU. I've changed the CPU.
Yeah.
I've changed everything. We're going to go through it all one by one. You can make your bets.
Have you still got the CPU from this in there?
Yes. And it's been fine.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm sort of... That's one of the reasons why I was doubting CPU. However, when I put my 8600K in here, it works. And that's one of the first things I'm going to do, is put the 8600K back in here, see if the problem disappears.
So did you get another CPU?
Yes. Right now, there's an 8700 in there, which I bought on eBay. It could be... So, like, there's no... Maybe I bought a dead CPU on eBay. It's possible. So we may have to test that.
Yes.
However, I've got a spare motherboard, I have spare RAM, and I've got 2 motherboards, 2 RAM kits, and 2 CPUs. We can figure this out by process of elimination.
Yeah.
And different PSUs. Yet we've got to spare everything. By process of elimination, we are going to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
However, here's the catch, is I think, and one of the reasons why I think I may have missed something when I was originally, because I started recording a video about this PC, but that got thrown out a long time ago because it was just such, it got to the point where there was like 6 hours of footage, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't even care. I just want it fixed,
Oh, no.
Sell disk 0. I'm just cleaning the disks, so we know we're starting from scratch.
Good comment on that as well, is does the BIOS version support the CPU? I think that's a definite yes, because I saw you say that you did a BIOS update on one of the boards.
Yes, I'm 99% certain I BIOS updated this. Failing that, it's on an 8700, which will be supported out of the box with this chipset.
Because it was the chipset which launched with that.
Yeah,
yes.
the original chip is a 9700, so it may have needed a BIOS update for that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
However, it was running... At one point, this computer was running just fine with the 9700 in, so yeah. Oh, that's weird. I don't know why Ducani got bopped for that. But
I think it's because halfway through accidentally hit caps lock instead.
Yes. Oops, caps. Yeah.
Replace! But yes.
Right,
so add the BIOS. Yes.
I'm just going to smash through the Windows installation just so you can see that Windows install works. It boots the Windows installer.
Not you, Nightbot.
Unallocated space.
And I presume this isn't a case of like this is a flash drive that's actually running like 1503.
Nope.
Somehow.
22H2.
Because you left it in a drawer.
Yeah, 22H2.
Not that you actually have any drawers.
No. Well, I've got the baskets over there. I try not to think about those.
They're a dark place, Simba. You must never go there.
Thankfully, they're mostly full of kettle leads these days.
Look at all my kettles.
Tried a different OS. I've not tried a different operating system, but the question is that what would that... The question is what would that prove, and also how does that progress our fault? Because we need to run Windows on this.
Have you tested a different Windows install media?
Defined, what, like a different installation drive? Like
a different flash drive with a different...
I'm not certain we'll do that.
But I'm just
because,
I'm going through all the things.
That's it. I use this all day, every day in other computers, no problems. Like this is installed Windows on a dozen other computers in the space of time this has been in. However, we'll try a different one because I'm so out of ideas with this computer.
Yeah.
Right. So we've done the basic install. It's gonna restart. It's gonna auto restart, and then it's gonna lock up halfway through Windows setup. So again, friendly reminder. We cleaned the SSD first, so there can be no weird MBR issues. Windows has just set it up however it wants to, the same way you do on any other computer. No reason for it to be any different. So it gets this far, getting ready. It's looking great. It's looking like it's going to work. We're about to hit first run. And so in a minute, after the getting ready, it'll do one more reboot, and then it'll lock up.
So what... have you given it a Windows install from another device?
Like installed Windows on another computer and then put it in here?
Yeah.
I think I did, and I think that also locks up. The one time I managed to make that work, it was hilariously broken. It gave me the most bizarro broken boot ever. It was like 640 by 480. There was no 3D rendering. Windows 10 had fallen back to looking like Windows Vista. I was like, what the hell has happened here? It was bizarre. You know, like it had started, but it was clearly broken. So yeah. CPU V-core issues. Tried a different motherboard.
Yeah. I mean,
again, we're going to swap all of those out as we go forward.
This is going to continue on my general biases.
Yeah.
They were both Asus boards, though.
Yeah.
Haven't tried any good boards.
Yeah. Well, their CPU works in my Gigabyte, so I really don't want to have to take the board out of that PC. We'll do it. There we go, and it's crashed. So there we go. There's the crash again.
What if we take this crashed install and put it on another machine?
So
just because I'm just trying to also other sources of information. If we put that and put it on the test bench, would that work, or has the install now been broken?
Let's find out. I think that the install is now poisoned, as I would put it. Because when I was originally recording the video for this, that's what I was doing, is I was testing with the same install, and I'm fairly certain that I was being punked by a now poison install. And every time we want to actually test, we have to do a clean install to make sure that it is actually doing a fresh attempt, so to speak. So,
did you say you've tried a different SSD?
I did at some point. However, again, I've lost track of all the things I've tried, so we're going to go through all of it.
Yeah, so, okay, that's fine. I think if we turn this off, take the SSD out, and see if it boots on something else.
While you do that, I'm going to put a different SSD in this one.
Exactly.
And so on.
So we can do two things at once.
That's right.
Do we have two purchasable heat sinks?
No, but I can slap the water cooler on this one.
Okay, that's
the reason why I hadn't was initially I had posting issues and I wasn't sure if the CPU was badly seated. However, I know that it's not to do with that, so I can just screw down the water block for that.
Sure thing. So, okay, that's fine.
Right.
Just because, yes, we need to sort out something for the test bench at some point.
We do. Right, I'm going to move that to one side.
Oops.
List of component tests to rule out. Oh yeah, we should do that. We should get a we should probably get
It's right. I was going to just create a list in a minute of what we're actually doing.
Yeah, because what we can do is if you make a list on, say, on Notepad on the Stream PC, we can probably get OBS to just pop that up in the corner, just so people can see what we've already tried or something.
Yeah.
Although I think the list might end up being too long for that. So
yeah, that's fine. But
hello, Finn from Norway, first-time gamer, first-time typer, long-time watcher. I thought you were a first-time gamer there. I'm like, gamer. Anyway, where the pictures, posters in your store entries from? Some of them are from eBay. In fact, no, they're all from eBay or Amazon. I just basically did searches for like gaming poster, or sometimes a lot of them I just specifically looked for them. I was like, what games do I like? I was like, I like Ori, I like Hollow Knight, and I just searched for them specifically. Because when you search for just gaming posters, you often get just a lot of Call of Duty and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't care about that. I wanted to try and get like indie games that are important to me, kind of thing. So yes, mostly eBay and Amazon. You have to do a bit of digging though.
The other
also,
thing,
be very wary about what size you're ordering and what size clip frames you get. I bought A2 clip frames because I thought A2 was a really common size. It's not. I would advise looking for something that is movie poster size.
The other thing that is obviously an option as well is dependent on how printing is in your area for like actual print shops.
Oh yeah,
is getting the high resolution media assets and just printing them and just getting them printed.
Yeah, if you can
because
find
I know that a lot of games companies are very happy to give out press packs and stuff with very high resolution, like random different sort of bits from games.
Oh, that's neat.
And then obviously you can get that printed, especially if you're doing it for like your bedroom and stuff.
Yeah.
They're not going to be fussed about copyright.
Yeah, I should probably look into that as well, because some of the ones I've got up there, like the Hollow Knight one, is really low resolution when you actually get up close and look at it. It looks fine from a distance, but if you look close, you're like, oh, that's actually really bad.
That's a shame.
And the Spirited Away poster, I like it, but it's too dark. I want something that's brighter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am looking for more. More.
Do we have a little GPU?
A little GPU.
No, it's fine.
Is the... Oh yeah, I've got to take the 1060 out of the Lianli. I don't know why it's in there.
This is fine because this only takes one power connector.
Yeah. So yes. Have we tried the board out of the case? See the problem occurs. It's all been done already. However, as I say, we're going to go through all of it one by one. But we're going to be systematic first. So I think firstly we're just going to identify that it's not an issue with the drives. And also we're going to confirm if the poisoned install is a thing.
Whoop.
Oh yeah. And I'll give you power as well, because we can't run both of these at the same time. So I think it's going to be a matter of setting both of them up. So like once we've done this, I can immediately just plug this in and carry on. Oh, do you want a fan over there as well?
That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, it's the PCH fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what fan is making that noise? Yeah.
Chipset fan goes.
XMP is off.
Right.
Okay, right. It's booting. Right, so this is the phase that it will crash on if it's going to, I think. Yeah, so it has poisoned the install.
So yes, that install is...
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I think the next... So should we quickly blast through the Windows install on this and then put it back in here?
Yeah, okay.
Like,
yeah,
I don't think that's going to prove anything, but I want to do a lot of these things just so people can see what the behavior looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just a case of showing that it's happened and so on. I will require a keyboard and mouse.
Oh yes, I can supply that.
Thank you.
Oop. Cool. Right, I'll swap places with you.
Sure.
SSD firmware. Well, once we've done this, we're going to try different SSD in the problem PC, and I'll bet money it'll do it on the different SSD as well. Although the problem is that, as I say, I've spent so long on this one that I've lost track of what I have and have not tried, especially because it poisons the install. That really screwed me up when I realized that, because it suddenly meant that a lot of tests that I had run were invalidated.
Yeah.
Because the install was already screwed and I didn't realize. Because I can't imagine how you can screw the install like that. I can't imagine what has happened to that Windows install.
How do you pull up command prompt again?
FN Shift F10.
That's it.
One word to start it. Yeah. So try a SATA SSD. Actually, I've not tried a SATA SSD. One of the things that is knocking around in my brain.
And then is it just clean?
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that is knocking around in my brain is the possibility that this is a weird issue with addressing with PCI Express lanes on the CPU, but also
just home, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That doesn't explain why the other motherboard, because originally I thought this was a bad motherboard, and I actually rebuilt the PC with a different motherboard in, and then on the final thing, when I just put everything back together again, and I ran the test, it fell over, and I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, don't know. We'll see.
But if it was a PCI issue,
yeah,
in theory that should be ignored by putting it in this, because this has no PCI issues.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless...
Well, yeah, again, the problem is we don't know the reason as to why the install becomes poisoned as such.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm 99% certain it's not the SSD, because I cannot wrap my head around any reason why this would be the SSD.
Yeah.
Like I say, but I've tested a different SSD at some point with this system. Just like I say, though, we're going to go through it all anyway. So
when this reboots, do we want to turn it off? So you know when it says countdown 10 seconds, do we want to turn it off, then put the SSD in there? Or do we want it to do first setup and then put the SSD in there?
I think we should do first setup, because I think if we swap it after the initial reboot here, I don't think that will prove anything.
It proves that the install isn't being messed up during the creation of the install.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
In this machine.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that fixes anything.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. That is true.
But yeah.
It will prove if ever fully installed. Maybe. I mean, that much being said, though, also, though, once it's done this, once we've gotten to out-of-box experience, first run, if we put it in here and it doesn't boot, that also proves that it's not the initial setup. So
yeah.
It makes no difference. If we finish the setup on this and then it doesn't work in here, it still proves that it's the platform. So yeah. Could be a faulty M.2 slot. Well, again, I believe that, but also we've changed the motherboard. We've got the original motherboard in there right now. However, during the course of trying to fix this PC, I have put a different motherboard in. So I already know that it's not going to be the motherboard. However, I've got a spare motherboard for it because I was going to sell this one to the customer. I had this one all set up. It was all built up with this in it. And then it went wrong again, just as I was doing the final. Right, there we go. It has been fixed. Now I just reinstall Windows. So,
what other RAM have you got that you would sell the customer?
So I've got two options.
Just because, should we build up effectively a second computer that you would sell to the customer that uses none of the parts that are in this Moulong?
Yeah.
And then swap one part into that computer and then go, does it still work?
Can do,
yes. Yeah. Swap that part back. Swap another part in. Does it still work? And go the other way around. Instead of swapping from this to try and work, swap from a working that you would sell the customer to this, so you're selling them less new stuff as you work through.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Is it worth going that way, given that you've been trying to repair this computer? Should we in fact be going the other way round?
Yeah.
So should I just turn this off now?
Yes. So I'll just power supply off that.
Whoop.
So yeah, we have two additional RAM kits here, so that's at the ready. One of them, yeah, I'd probably sell them this Fury kit, so that's one that I would define as sellable.
Yeah.
So yes. Sure not getting pranked by a squeaky driver? How? How? It's a clean Windows install. There are no drivers. There's no internet connection.
There are only the drivers that Windows has.
I'm installing Windows 10 on a computer. It should be no more complicated than that.
Does this just pull out?
Yeah, it's really gross. It does pull out.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Ah.
Right. So that's going to be our test SSD
and then we've got
in a moment. So yeah, I'll let you carry on with that. Change motherboard and CPU at the same time. Tried with each and both. I'm just going to track down. Just going to find the 8600K just so I actually know where that is. Actually, is it in the? No, it's not. Where is my 8600K? Because we're probably going to need that.
So the Moulong's CPU is in the Moulong board.
There is that's a replacement CPU. So this should the 9700, which is the customer's
custom
CPU,
one that came in here, is in there.
Is in there at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. So we definitely,
it is not the CPU.
Yeah, but we have absolutely changed that variable.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have changed the variable, but by virtue of the fact that the fault persists with a different CPU. However, I think the test that I want to do next is to put the 8600K in there, because that was the last time I saw it working. And it's possible that we have some kind of bizarro compatibility issue where it only works with certain CPUs, and I couldn't tell you why.
I didn't like the sound of that. I just flicked the switch, it just kind of went.
Yeah, probably a cheapo power supply in there, but it's been tested with another power supply, so. Where is? Oh, it's in front of me.
There and there.
Thanks.
CPU fan error.
Oh, the thing's not plugged in. Yeah.
Out there.
Can you get in there?
I can. I will.
It's
there
broken.
we go.
There we go. I've updated the ME, so the NVMe connections work as they should. It's had a BIOS update. Actually, what BIOS version are we on? 2208.
Yes.
I'm just going to double check what the latest BIOS for this board is.
Huh, it's
fairly
a sizable bar.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm fairly certain that, because I think that was one of the features of the BIOS update. So, yeah. Date doesn't matter. Windows doesn't care what time it is. Imagine your computer not booting because the clock was wrong. It's just like, no. Right. Right, what was it? A
B650. Sorry, B65M.
Oh, 365M. Yeah, B365M Dragon, which is a Asia only. Weird. It's a weird board, this. Right, yeah, 2208 is the latest, so I did BIOS update it.
Yeah.
Or it has the latest BIOS, which is the operative.
Yeah.
And by extension, that also means it has the latest ME.
It has to have
date
the
and BIOS can cause issues. You know what? We'll change the date. I've never, ever, ever seen that before. But we'll try it.
Doing a BIOS update have to update the ME?
Not necessarily. Not unless they choose to. However, I trust Asus to know if the ME should be updated or not.
Right. Well, I was viewing that more from the point of view of if there were an issue with it and the BIOS update did not update the ME, the ME has not been updated.
Yeah, I would say that would be
However,
the BIOS update would fail in that condition.
Because it would still check the integrity of it?
Yeah, because the BIOS update is going to... Yeah. The BIOS update is going to do its operation, and if it does not complete everything that it set out to do, it will class that as a failure.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah. Yeah. What are we trying to do at the moment?
Boot.
I see. Oh, okay. Is this just what it did when you tried to boot from the SSD?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just going to turn it off again. Turn that on again. Well, it's just the fact it just went nothing.
Yeah. Correct date and problem is gone. Guaranteed, says AJ. Guaranteed. You know what?
Bang, and the dirt is gone.
We'll wait for it to try this time, then we'll set the date. If it's the date, I will be livid. I will be beyond furious. I will be so mad that I will take 10 points of psychic damage and immediately perish. There's no way that this is a date and time issue. I could understand some weird, like error messages popping up, or it not getting through first run, or it not connecting to the internet, but just crashing mid-boot because the time is wrong? No way.
Seems to be going for longer.
It's trying to do something. I think it's possible that it's going to get to the really broken status that I saw it at that one time. Like, look at that frame rate. It doesn't look right. Well, no, actually, the spinner's always a bit stuttery, isn't it? So, yeah. Yeah, apparently Carrie Holzman had a similar kind of cursed issue like this where the date did fix it. So I will still be livid and furious and take 10 points of psychic damage and perish, but...
Also a case of then, why did that board have that issue as well?
Yeah, 2 motherboards. A fault that I've never seen in my life occurring on 2 different motherboards, you know, at the same time, you know.
Is approximately wild.
I don't buy it, yeah.
However, as has been put in the Sherlock Holmes books, when you eliminate everything else, what remains, no matter how improbable?
Yep, that's it.
Therefore, quantum tunneling llamas.
Yeah. No, I mean, I will confess, a lot of the time, like now and then when people propose, now and then when I'm troubleshooting with other people, I will propose simple solutions, the low-hanging fruit, and they're like, oh, I don't think it's that. And I'm like, well, it'll be very quick and easy to check then, won't it?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way it's the date and time. However, it's pretty easy to set the day and time and make sure. How long are we going to give this? I see. Okay.
It's not happening, but also it's a case of this proves nothing because we have a non-functioning boot now. We need to put this back in there and prove that this works, because if that doesn't work now, changing something and fixing the problem will not be visible if this doesn't work.
Well, what I think we should do is we should put the Windows 10 flash drive back in, boot it up, set the day and time, and do another install of Windows.
On this one?
Yes, just as it is.
Sure, okay.
So effectively we're starting again and we're seeing if date and time fixes it. Installing Windows, doing the install from another computer did not fix it. Reset to step 0, try something else.
Sure.
Prove that the SSD works. I think we'll do that next, Si. After we do the day and time, we'll drop in the next SSD and we'll again reset to 0, try and install Windows on the next SSD. Because at that point, we've then proven conclusively that it cannot be the SSD. What is that date?
What?
That is. I'll give you that. I mean, I have to admit, I did say this couldn't be a date and time issue, but also I don't think I've seen a computer try and contend with the year 5858.
Yeah, it is the 18th.
Yeah.
And it's 16?
I'll still be livid if this is the solution. However, I will concede that that year is, that year is bizarre enough that could cause a really oddball fault.
But also,
it shouldn't matter.
Yeah. What is it? Is it F12 on this board?
Future. F8, FNF8. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Asus boot menu is F8.
Yep.
Oofy. That could be a Y2K issue. Well, yeah, that's it.
But the board's not old enough.
Well, it's outside of the date range integer, so I think the idea being it's an equivalent issue of the date is an invalid number.
Yeah.
So that again, like Windows 10 might say, I don't understand the year 5858 and just completely break down and cry.
It's also past the Unix time.
Yeah. Yeah,
32-bit. It's past the 32-bit date, isn't it?
But also, in order for this to be the problem, this board has to have exactly the same fault.
Oh, I did not clear.
You can do it from here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can still do it from here.
I realise I can manually delete them.
If you do it from here, that's also good enough. Normally, I do clean because that way we can be certain that the SSD gets set up as GPT again and things like that. However, we already know that it's in the correct format, so yeah. Because deleting the partitions is not the same as doing a clean.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't take us back to uninitialized. So yeah.
Oh, clean does actually uninitialize it. Okay.
Yeah. Nebbia reckons we should do a clean anyway, but like I say, I think we'll be all right here. Failing that, if
I was going to say, failing that, we're also going to be replacing the SSD and cleaning this one. So if that magically starts working...
We'll find out in a minute, yeah.
We will find out in a minute.
Yeah, because that's true. If this fails and then we change the SSD and it works, the first thing we're going to do is go back to the original SSD to confirm that the fault has reappeared. Because a part of diagnostics is when you find a solution, the first thing you should do is undo the last thing you did and then see if the fault returns, because that confirms that what you think is the solution was the solution.
Yeah.
Because if you then undo that step and you can't reproduce the result, then you have an intermittent fault. So,
yeah.
Get ready to eat humble pie. I mean, I guess I'll be happy because it'll be fixed, but I will genuinely take psychic damage and be immediately killed. So
because also the fact of it means that there's something wrong with that board.
Maybe, yeah. And I guess that'll be the rest of the stream, is just, well, then we'll rig up this Asus and see if that does the same thing. I can't fathom that this can be the answer. I cannot fathom a world where this is the answer.
However, all other possibilities, blah, 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 quantum tunneling llamas.
Eyes emoji.
Vibrating eyes emoji.
It will get past this spinner. It's the next spinner that it'll get stuck on. Oh, what was that one? Sorry, RCG. Oh, yeah, no, it was all caps again. Yeah. You're not allowed to all caps me.
Das ist verboten.
Date issue could be caused by the BIOS update. Yeah. And again, this is a really weird, oddball motherboard, so it doesn't surprise me if it has some oddities about it. To be honest, I was amazed that Asus actually had a support page for it, like a support page and BIOS updates. So, check the CMOS battery. I'll grab the multimeter. I did check the CMOS battery. I seem to remember it was good, but we'll check it again just for posterity, because that can cause weird issues. That can punk you. I'm just going to give it a poke now while we're doing stuff. Oh, actually, I'll wait for it to crash first. Just, yeah. Right, here we go. No. 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 How? No. No.
What?
I mean, I didn't spot that the year was 5858.
What?
What I kind of want to do now...
Wild.
Yeah, like, humble pie, egg on face, all the rest of it. I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin. I'll take that on the chin. However, I tell you what I want to do is I want to try some tests where, like, let's set the year to, like, let's set the year to, like, 1980 or something like that. Because I want to know if this is... And also, I want to check this board. Because, as I say, I had issues with this board. And I want to try some more tests to see if we can reproduce the problem. Because, like I say, I just... Like, or maybe the year is bizarre on this other board as well. You know. It's never mattered. I've never seen it matter. Or maybe, just maybe, by just some kind of fluke... I've just never had the date out by enough for it to mean something. Yeah. But if that's the case, well, how far out is far enough out then? Because 5858, sure. As soon as I saw that year, I was like, uh-oh, maybe they're right, kind of thing. Because like, if I'd spotted that the year was 5858, I'd have been like, oh, that's invalid.
But also, what's the year on
like
this,
I said,
then?
Yeah, like I said, I've had the same issue with this motherboard.
Yeah.
That's why I said it cannot be that, and it can't be the motherboard. I've had the same fault with this one. Why did the problem still persist with this board? So if the year on this one, well, who knows what the year is on it? Yeah. I want to find out. I want to know whether I actually was going insane, or maybe I had fixed the problem, but we had then created the same problem with a different issue or something like that. But yeah. However,
although it's also a case of we might not necessarily be out of the woods, because it was also a case of it was intermittent, wasn't it? In the fact of, because obviously you replaced parts, did it, went, oh, it's fixed, rebooted again, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. However, the cause there was, but also it worked when I had my 8600K in there. So yeah, but then also the BIOS may have been resetting between CPU swaps. So maybe the BIOS resets in a weird way, and sometimes, However, this is indisputably fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this, unquestionably, this is working. So, you know, at the very least...
Thanks, OneDrive.
At the very least, we're on to something. This is the furthest I've ever been with this PC. However... As I say, Yeah, like as I say, yeah, egg on my face. I'll take that on the chin. Yeah. However, I want to know. I want to retrace this. I want to know how I didn't spot that after all the parts I changed. I want to know how it was possible that I didn't catch that.
What I want to do now is put this in here, set the date back to 5858, install on this, and then prove it doesn't work.
Sure. Yeah. What does that prove?
That it was the year.
Yeah.
Because we have basically proven that this at least functions to get us to desktop.
Yeah, so we now have a functional drive, so we're going to leave that one alone. So we're going to continue testing with a different drive now. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
That at least gets to desktop. We have at least proven that. And it's a case of if we change the date back and it then stopped working, it's then a case of, right, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hang on a sec. Firstly, Justin Parrish, thank you very much for the $5. What do you guys think of the new Intel HEDT workstation stuff? I'll answer that in just a moment. However, Ducani and I think a couple of other people have pointed out, when we moved the drive to this, it imported the date from that Windows install, maybe? I'm not sure about that. I don't think the BIOS will look at the date, the drive, because the date is never stored with the Windows install. So I don't think that could be a thing. However,
but when you update the time and date in Windows, it will update your BIOS time and date. Right?
Yeah. Either way, that might explain how the install can be poisoned by this date issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not exactly sure about the mechanics of that, but I can
Which is why I want to set the date back on this and prove that it is now broken.
Yeah.
Effectively.
What a bizarro, because again, also maybe that will explain why I couldn't get it working with the other board. Maybe that's what was going on. Maybe just at no point did I try like a clean install or something. Sorry, just a horn just went blaring outside. Right. So while you do that, while you set the date back to Bizarro Land, or well,
what was it?
you
50,
can try
58?
58, if it'll let you enter that. Oh, you're in month. Oh, we're not going to be able to put that back in, are we?
Yeah.
What if you do a BIOS reset on it now? Yeah. Yeah, try doing or failing that, we might have to just try changing.
Right, that's the highest number it will apparently accept. There.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be able to reproduce this.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm going to turn this off.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, so the new HEDT stuff from Intel, it's interesting.
Yes.
I have mixed opinions about it. In a way, it's good because there's some new and fairly well-priced high-end desktop stuff from Intel.
Oh, it's aggressively priced.
Yeah, it's very...
it's aggressive.
Yeah, it's very aggressively priced. I don't particularly care about it just because I'm, it's a very niche group of people who actually need it or can benefit from it. Gamers don't need high-end desktop. This is a fact.
However, if Fishhawk Falls, wait, no, this is not Fishhawk Falls, is it? This is Sapphire Rapids.
Yeah, this is Sapphire Rapids.
Never mind. Moving on. The Sapphire Rapids one, yes, I agree. Just because I can't remember what the actual core layout is for that one. The Fishhawk Falls.
BIOS reset and just see what it does. Oh yeah, you're already doing that. Never mind.
Yes, because you also said you wanted to do voltage.
Sure.
Birds, stone.
Yep.
I can't remember what the layout is. However, if it is all solid P cores, in theory that could be a benefit anyway. Just because performance. But it does then depend on whether you can get like 2 or 3 core boost to being like 5.5 gigahertz on HEDT just out of the box. Because if you can, then cool, good. Yeah. It will be valid for someone to game on it. If it can't and it's locked to 3 gigahertz on single core load, that's functionally irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of, I've not actually specifically looked at the specifications long or hard enough to completely answer that question for non-standard usage.
Yeah.
However, yes, I am interested purely because Intel has released new CPUs.
Yes, that's true. Also, I think, while I'm not super interested in them myself, I'm kind of glad they exist for the same reason that, I watched the LTT video on it, and, Linus is happy that they exist, because just because they're not useful to the majority of people doesn't mean they shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And AMD has no interest in right now, AMD have proven no interest in releasing an equivalent product. Because all of the Threadrippers are all now Pro and have horrifying price tags on them. So it's a case of, well, even if I don't need it, someone out there will find it useful. So it's good that it exists.
Yes. However, it's also a case that the stuff that Intel has launched is the same price as the AMD Pro stuff, as far as I'm aware, from what I've seen.
Oh, I thought the Pro one was really expensive. Yeah. It's reset to 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some CPU swapping is what got it into a weird state. So other people are saying check what the date is on the Gigabyte at the moment.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly swap to that. Whoop. What graphics card did you have in that?
The 3060 Ti, which is behind me.
Oh, I see, yeah. Whoop. Bam. Oh, it'll drop into BIOS anyway, but just check that this hasn't gone to a Bizarro date. I guess the next thing we can just try doing is just setting try setting the date back on this one as far as it will go, and just see if we can reproduce the fault that way. Sysinfo
11/2020.
Oh yeah, it says 2020 in the top right behind our faces.
There you go.
Yeah, so it has not changed the date on. Well, the date is wrong on this one, but it's
probably.
Again, was it even right before though? Because this board gets BIOS reset all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm reasonably impressed that we're getting anything out of the GPU, given that that's just wedged under the cooler.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. Yeah, that looks like it's been reset, but it's not the invalid time. But then if the Windows install had an invalid time on it and it was not checking the BIOS for an updated time, again, might be, poisoned, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should just try smashing
Can you set the date and time in the BIOS update? So can you edit the BIOS update file to set a date and time?
Sure, that could be done, yeah.
So you could set the invalid date and time in that and then flash that onto the board.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to do that off the top of my head.
But if we were trying to categorically prove this, you could do that.
Yeah, if we wanted to.
It doesn't feel like a level of effort that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, right. So let's swap back to this one. Let's just try setting this back to let's try setting the date down as low as it will go and see if Windows does anything. And also, what's this trying to do? Is it just rebooting?
It's turning on.
Yeah.
I thought you turned it off.
Oh, I see, yeah. I didn't want to interrupt it,
No, that's fine. I thought you had pulled out the power.
Yeah. Then I think the next thing I guess I want to do is plug in the Prime board I've got and see what state that is in and see what date is set on it as well. But to see if we can push this. Just the date was wrong on all the motherboards theory. Because again, that's the thing. Is just like if the date being wrong is the solution, I can accept that no matter how.
So do we want this SSD back in there?
It doesn't really matter at this point. Well, that's got a clean install of Windows on it, and that's the customer SSD. So we'll leave that one out for now, because it just means that when we're finished, I can just drop that back in there and know it has a known good install.
Yeah, so what are we doing to this?
Right, so we want to boot it up, go into BIOS, and set the date to as low a value as it will do.
Okay.
I think.
Which I'd expect to be, what was it, 1976?
Sure, yeah.
Was that I can't remember.
We'll try that one first, then we'll try it at the highest date that it will do.
Yeah.
So yeah, CMOS battery was fine. That's all good. not exactly brand spanking new. It was, but it was like 309 kind of thing. So it's fine. Glishaso, hello. We're repairing. This computer was haunted and had a really bizarro fault, and it turned where it just would not install Windows. And it turns out that it was because the date on the motherboard was set to the year 5858. However, I am finding that very difficult to accept. Just try minusing on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I was just seeing if I could go below 2000 initially. 1998?
Yeah. Really? Shift. Oh, you. Oh.
Yeah.
Fine. Try it on 98, I guess.
So yeah, I can go up.
Yeah.
And then the
I mean, let's try it on 2097 first and just see how Windows reacts to that. Because I was going to try both ranges anyway, just to see if we could reproduce the fault again. So yeah. The fault seems to have been resolved by fixing an invalid date on the motherboard. However,
I forgot to plug in the Windows flash drive.
But I've tested this system with different CPUs and different motherboards and had the same problem, which is why I'm just so flabbergasted that was the solution. And also, I've never seen an invalid time be an issue for Windows to this extent. Although the year 5858, I can understand how that would cause some kind of spectacular issue.
Yeah, it's so far out of range.
Yeah, that I can fully believe. But then on the other hand, I'd never consider it be possible to actually get that date into the BIOS somehow. Yeah. So it must have been just some kind of bizarro thing that caused that. Again, possibly just, who knows. It's so frustrating because now I'm just like, how long has the date on that motherboard been set to 5858? Because I did BIOS resets while I was fixing this thing. Yeah. Of course I did. So how did that not reset it out of 5858?
Perhaps because the value was invalid, it could not.
But then you did a BIOS reset and it just set to something. Although
no, that was after we changed
it. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's why I'm so beside myself now. Is I don't understand how I didn't catch this and how nothing else I was doing was circumventing the fault. That's what, as I say, if it's as simple as the date, I'll accept that. I'll take that bloody nose and I'll smile because I can call the customer on Tuesday and say it's solved, it's fixed. And also all of the part, I've bought an extra CPU, but that's fine because I can put that in this board and build this thing up now.
Yeah.
But as I say, what's melting my brain is how I didn't catch this with all the other things I was throwing at this computer.
Yeah, it's a case of how did resetting the BIOS not sort it?
Yeah.
And also, how did swapping the motherboard not seemingly solve it?
Yeah.
Assuming also the fact that is what the issue was.
Yeah.
Because we obviously haven't got reproducibility of the issue due to data validation on typing in the date.
Yeah. Live and learn, Graham. Yeah, absolutely. I will value the correct time and date being set on a computer significantly more.
Certainly,
or at the very least,
inside the range of 2000 to 2900. Sorry, 2090.
If you reset a BIOS and the computer boots up and it thinks it's the year 2005, I don't care. That I'm still convinced will not. I mean, we're booting up in the year 2097 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're currently testing the year 2097, and I think this is going to work because that's still a valid date.
Yeah. I think it. I don't. Start that again. I'm not certain if it was the date being wrong that was the issue. It was that there was invalid data.
Yes.
That was the issue, if that makes sense. It didn't matter what the date was. It mattered that it was invalid and out of range.
Yeah. And that then leads into the thing is I was able to reproduce the exact same problem with this motherboard.
Yeah.
So what the hell is in the BIOS on this motherboard?
Yeah.
I'm also very curious as to put we will have to put the customer's original 9700 back in there as well, because at this point it's not a CPU fault.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put their CPU back in here again.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if the fault comes back, I guess.
Yeah.
And like,
it'd be wild if there was a faulty CPU.
I mean,
yeah.
I want to say how can that be possible, but I think we're way outside those lines now anyway. With this thing thinking it's the year 5858.
Yeah.
Nothing is real. Everything is fake. The Matrix is attacking.
Have you memory tested this memory on a different board?
I don't think I've memory tested it on a different board. I have memory tested it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because obviously the surefirest way of getting like a corrupted Windows install is to start overclocking your RAM. If that makes sense. Because obviously
But what if we started overclocking the RAM, says Caradog?
No, but a case of obviously if you put one thing into the cache or into RAM and then withdraw something else thinking it's the same value.
Yeah.
Corruption.
Maybe.
And just a case of if the RAM was faulty or something like that, and there was some write back, you know.
Yeah. I think one of the working theories in chat is that when the date got corrupted at some point, possibly by the BIOS update, who knows, but it got corrupted at some point, and then BIOS resets and such could not fix it because it was an invalid value. So when a BIOS reset tried to change the time, it just errored out on that because the existing value was invalid. However, by fluke, when we tried to set the time manually, that was okay because it didn't check the existing value, it just overwrote it.
Yeah, because it was just a case of user is changing this value. We are validating the number that has been typed, not the value that is there.
Couldn't explain why it didn't work by any other way, but then if you've got an invalid value, all kinds of weird and wacky stuff could happen.
Yeah.
Very well. Did you reset the BIOS in the system menu? Or I always reset the BIOS with an RTC battery removal. I think at some point I did it from the jumper as well. However, my go-to is always battery removal. Because that's never failed me.
So does shorting that jumper, that's the word, what does that actually do?
So Wild Floor Lamp is in the chat, so may be able to correct me on this, but my understanding is when you short the jumper, it pulls the CMOS voltage rail that the BIOS battery is powering, it pulls that to ground.
Right.
So by essence, that's the same as removing the BIOS battery.
Right.
Because you're just pulling its power source to ground.
Why does the BIOS not having power matter when it's being programmed by a programmer?
This is an area of BIOS that I don't understand, but I believe that there is the CMOS circuit. Like there's another thing that talks to the ROM chip.
Right.
And when that thing gets reset, it invalidates anything that's stored in the ROM chip. I might be talking out my ass here. No, it's not, says Wildflower Lamp. Okay, that's fine. So, all right, Wildflower Lamp says, that is the RTC reset line, and it will trigger a reset of PCH internal CMOS memory. That also triggers an NVRAM reset at next boot, removing the settings. Okay, yeah, so I was half right. I had the right idea, just not quite, yeah.
Right. So it requires so doing the reset requires power, or does not require power?
Does not require power.
Because the power is coming from the battery to send the command to the PCH. In that case,
I guess a better question then is what's the difference between pulling the RTC reset line low and removing the RTC battery? Although I guess if you remove the RTC battery, then the RTC reset line falls low.
Yeah.
Which is why they both do the same thing.
And also 2097 is a valid year.
Yeah, 2097 is a valid year apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we could set it to 90. I don't think there's any point in setting it to 97 or 98. Yeah. If it works in 2097, then that proves that Windows doesn't care about the time and date at install as long as it's a valid value, which 5858 clearly is not.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to put a CPU in this, and I want to see what's on this.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll put the right,
the CPU.
If you unplug that and just stick it on the floor somewhere.
The CPU in the socket. The socket for the CPU.
Yeah. VCC RTC also keeps other ME-related CMOS. Pulling the battery also removes that. I see. Okay. In any case, I don't think it should matter, but then I think it's some kind of weird handling of an invalid value in NVRAM.
Oh, the date on this. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely wild.
I'm going to pull that out. Yeah, I don't. I think. I don't think it was that the date was wrong that was the issue. It was that it was invalid. So wrong and invalid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and
which sounds like I'm trying to say, but I wasn't wrong.
I know, yeah.
Which isn't what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that the semantic of it is that because the date was so wrong and invalid, it was then wrong.
By virtue of the fact that that worked in the year 2097, it proves that our original sentiment of the dates shouldn't matter was correct. However, we had not considered it. We had not considered a situation where the date could be an invalid value.
Yeah.
And now in the future, I don't think anyone in the chat predicted that it could be the year 58.
Have you got M.2 screw?
Sure. 1 secondo. Is there not one anywhere in that motherboard? I must have robbed it from somewhere. Oh, I've stored it down there. That's fine. Yep. Do you want? One moment. Have you got a small screw? Yeah, there is one over there. Right. We also need a power supply. Where is the Antec?
Is it? Oh no, it's not on the shelf. It's that shelf.
Yep. Thank God.
Where are all these power supplies?
Yes, and why can't I hold all of them?
Where are my Corsair cables?
I found some of them. Not the box I'm looking for, but also shut up.
I have all these Corsair power supplies with no cables.
Shut. I'm going to put this on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are no M.2s in that, right?
No.
Cool, that's fine. We haven't left one in there.
Negatory.
Good, fine.
Right.
Have one of them.
All right. I'm going to go
Does this have Hudumi?
Bench with face for a bit.
It does? It does.
You can see Caradog and I just swarming around this motherboard, filling it with connectors.
I wasn't looking clearly and thought that was a 6-pin CPU power. I was just like,
no.
What?
Let's just slap this crucial in here for now.
Did you do anything with the Corsair Pro that appears to be completely dead RAM?
What do you think the answer to that question is?
Have you phoned BT?
No. Right, let's see.
Next question. That probably won't work because it's coated.
It's
here.
Oh, there. Thank you. Right, we've got everything else. The power. You picked that up and made a noise just as I plugged this in, and I was like, oh!
Fire!
You're there, you do it.
Oh.
Do the thing.
Lights.
Yeah, it's an Asus board. It does that.
It lights up unnecessarily.
Also, you are wrong.
What?
Also, I'm going to put the fan on the CPU.
Power?
That was the power LED.
Oh.
I'm going to put CPU fan on it so we actually know when it's on.
We can tell because it goes clonk.
Also, it's got RGB RAM. That's how you know it's turned on. We'll put that in next time. I'm going to chop my finger off if I do it now.
Oh, yes. RGB RAM always turns me on.
I see.
Error.
Capture with the face cam. Okay, go straight into BIOS and tell me what the day and time on this motherboard is.
28,
2822. It is another invalid value.
Asus!
Like, come on, was this really my fault?
Yeah.
Was this really my fault? How? How did that happen? How?
Right?
How? Like, I to a certain extent, I think I deserve some kind of...
I didn't change the values. It's errored and locked up.
Oh yeah. The whole the background is locked up as well.
Yeah.
I think I deserve some amount of vindication for encountering such a bizarre situation on the same issue on 2 different motherboards, both of them Asus.
So you know what we're saying about Asus boards? Right,
yeah.
so I'm not going to change the value. I'm going to pull out the power.
All right.
I'm going to pull out the battery.
Yeah.
And we're going to then look at it again and go, see how it has not reset.
Yeah. It is quite possible that I've never... it's quite possible that I've never tried BIOS resetting this board while I was troubleshooting.
But
yeah,
we're going to do this and see and go, see, has it reset?
Yeah. So now, so we know, okay, so what we've learned is the cause of this fault was invalid dates in the BIOS.
Yeah.
However, now the question is, how did those dates get there? If BIOS resets, and if resetting the BIOS puts in a valid date, which it did on the customer board, how was it possible to get an invalid year into 2 different motherboards?
Asus!
Yeah. Or was this just... And also, again, remember, I had this board working with my 8600K in it. And I never checked the date at any point because I had no reason to believe that would be a problem.
Do you know what we need to do now? Because the CPU's in that board, we need to check the date on that board.
I mean, that one's booted up and running and it's set to the year 20.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll restart it, but also I guess we could put that CPU, because that's the customer CPU, so that needs to go back in. Maybe it's a bizarre CPU issue and the CPU is plumbing that date in? I get, how could that be possible? But... like, we're so far into the Twilight Zone that I will... we are so far into the Twilight Zone now that I'll believe anything. Chinese spyware. Yeah. So the people who are saying that Kerry Holzman's BIOS date error was wrong, the people who are talking about Kerry Holzman, do you know what date he had in his BIOS?
And was it an Asus board?
Well, yeah. Oh, it was a Gigabyte board, apparently. However, was it an invalid date, or was it just incorrect? Because that's, again, we've already proven that you can set the date to the year 2097 and Windows doesn't care. However, if he also had an invalid number, then that would be interesting. Something in the 3000s, apparently.
Yeah,
so yeah, he did have an invalid number.
Yeah.
I've never seen this happen before.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm just one guy.
This feels like it's in the category of BIOS corruption, kind of.
Bit rot.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, an invalid number. Yeah. Like, I know that just because I've never seen something happen before doesn't mean it's impossible. However, like, I've been fixing computers professionally for 15 years or more. I don't know now. I've been doing it professionally since I was in college at the age of 16, 17.
It reset properly.
And so it did reset. Okay, so the chances are I just never did a BIOS reset on this. Okay, so I'm going to shut this thing down. We're going to put the 9700 in here and see what it does, and see if the CPU is the one that's feeding it bad numbers. Because that's the question now: is how. Like, if my mind is blown.
Yeah, and 2097 is the highest as well.
I cannot understand how this fault has happened. And
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I hit escape.
Right. Shutting down.
There you go.
Harry saw artificial professional for 30 years. Well, there's always someone who's been doing it for longer. My point is, if you've been doing it for over a decade, you've looked at a lot of computers. You know, that I'm sure there's people in the chat who say, I've been doing it for 50 years. I'm like, sure, cool. You know, the point is, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't start this business last year. You know, that's the thing. Whenever like, there's always someone who says, well, I've been doing it for this long. It's like, sure. The point is, I've been doing this a while and I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Like,
which means
come on.
it means it is at least somewhat likely to be unlikely.
Anyone who says they saw this coming and just didn't happen to be in that stream, I think is a liar. Like, come on. This is wild, I think. This is actually wild.
Yeah. Madness. Oh, interesting. Windows didn't take the date or time from the BIOS. It's still 1/1/2097, even though I changed the date in the BIOS.
Interesting. So yeah, Windows does indeed keep its own date. So that explains the poison theory, because Windows had an invalid date.
I mean, I did boot to desktop on that install, then turn off the computer, then put it. So I would expect the date and time to be saved on the actual install once you've got to desktop. But I wouldn't expect it to save that at first run.
Don't know, maybe it does.
That'd be a weird time to save it, to me.
Don't know. I don't know when it does save it.
Yeah.
That explains how the poison install happens then, because Windows does hold the date.
Yeah. And it must have held that 5858 date or whatever.
I'm surprised that it doesn't take the... Well, I don't know.
No.
I want to say I'm surprised that Windows does... We don't have an internet connection, so...
No. But I'm just seeing if I can bully it to make it check the BIOS.
Yeah.
And apparently the answer is no.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm surprised that Windows doesn't take the hardware clock as gospel. But then on the other hand, I guess Windows is going to assume, because Windows assumes it has an internet connection, it's reasonably safe to assume, if you're Windows, that what you think is the day and time is probably more accurate than the hardware, because you have an internet connection and the hardware doesn't, if you see what I mean. So I guess it's not unreasonable for Windows to say, I'm the authority. What I say the time is. So...
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
I wonder if that goes the other way around, when Windows date is further back than what the hardware date is. It then accepts the hardware date because it assumes it's not been booted in a long time.
True, yeah.
That would be the way around I'd expect it to go.
Yeah.
But then if the hardware date is much older than it ignores it, assuming the hardware is just wrong.
All right. So here is the 97. I'm just going to de-goop this.
So where are we putting the 9700K? Are we putting it in here or in Moulon?
Well, let's start by putting it in here. We're going to put it in there, and we're going to try and do a Windows in. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Well, you know what? Let's retrace my steps first. We'll put it in here. We'll try and without doing anything, we'll put it in here. If it BIOS resets, it resets, whatever. We put it in here. We try and do the Windows install. We see what it does. Because if it immediately puts an invalid date into the BIOS and poisons the board, then that proves that the CPU was the culprit.
Yeah.
It also means that we know we can probably fix it just by setting the date again afterwards. But then...
Perhaps.
I don't know. I cannot fathom a world in which it's the CPU, but also I couldn't fathom a world in where this problem existed. So
yeah,
I'll believe anything now. We are. Yes, we're unplugged. Yeah, sorry. You do it. I'm just I don't understand anything. Nothing is real.
But the fact that the BIOS date was invalid on both boards.
Yeah, that's again.
What was the listing for this board?
I've had this board for ages.
Or is this the board that you had for?
Yeah, this is one of the ones that's been knocking about. I've had this board in my collection for a while. I bought this a long time ago. It's a known good board. We've tested it before.
Yeah.
Because when I thought it was their motherboard, I was like, awesome, I can sell a spare part I've got.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, as I say, I've rebuilt it all. And blah, blah, blah,
so
blah,
how
blah.
did the date become invalid?
That's it. That's why I'm still... Like, if we were able to just dial in an incorrect date, or if it BIOS reset to an incorrect date or something like that, I'd be like, it's a weird quirk of the BIOS. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
You know, it was the day I got trolled. Everyone can laugh at me. I've got all this egg on my face. There it is. But the thing is now is just a question of how. How? Right. Mike Ladd says he found that video, as in Carrie Holzman's video, and the date was 2091, because that's not an invalid date.
No, 2091 isn't.
No, because we've just done a 2097.
Also, the BIOS got changed to 11-2097.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me there.
From the Windows boot.
Yeah.
So that's why Windows set the BIOS date in time.
Yeah.
So perhaps... So that gives an option of the Windows install set and invalid.
Yeah, so possible theory, let me think. So possible theory is that when the computer originally came in, when the computer first came into the shop, the Windows install on their SSD had invalid number on it. We'll say 5858 for argument's sake. And I didn't try a clean Windows install at any point until I'd already plugged their SSD into 2 different boards and poisoned 2 other motherboards with the same invalid date and time. Maybe Windows is capable of programming the invalid date into boards. That doesn't explain, it didn't happen to your Gigabyte, but maybe it can happen to Asus BIOS or just this platform. Because don't forget, your Gigabyte board is a completely different platform.
As in it's AMD as opposed to Intel,
or
as well. And it's a completely different age.
Yeah, like this board hasn't had that problem. But then I don't think I tried putting their SSD into this system, just because I'd already tested it on another motherboard at that point. So I don't know, man.
I'm just gonna see if you can set an invalid date in Windows.
Yeah, I mean, we need to try doing a fresh install with that CPU in there and see if it just screws up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just reset, see if we can reproduce the problem with the customer CPU, basically. So yeah, poison the NVRAM with the wrong date. I think that is probably the valid answer. And just when it first came in, I just went plugging that SSD into different motherboards without realizing that it was because I hadn't considered that it might be the date. Let's just unplug that while you fit it and then plug it in.
No, you can't.
Turn it around.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe I just was plugging it into different things and just putting the same invalid date into other motherboards without realizing that SSD was poisoning a board. Because again, that's just not something you'd ever consider. Yeah. You know, like now I know that is a thing that is possible. You know, that's a thing I know now. But like again. I know I'm saying, you know, I know I'm sort of trying to self-vindicate here, but I defy that other, you know, were it not for Carrie Holzman having recently had the same issue, I defy anyone who could see that coming.
Interesting.
However, it has fallen over. Maybe it is the CPU. What are we trying to do at the moment?
Just boot this working install.
Yeah.
Because that install was installed on that board, booted on that board, put into this board with this CPU, and booted. Right, I'm now going to see what the date is. No, the date is the same. So the date's not changed there.
What are we on at the moment? 29.7. Yeah. Yeah. And that worked previously. Yeah.
I'm just trying to single variable.
Yes, understandable. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So 2097 worked with a different CPU.
It worked with a different CPU in this board.
Yeah.
And it worked in that board.
I wonder if it's possible that certain CPUs will or will not work with certain dates.
It's locked up again.
Yeah, we've reproduced the fault now. So I guess now we set the date. Let's set the date without changing anything else.
Yeah.
Let's set. Oh, but then the problem is if the Windows install is poisoned now, we have to do a clean install of Windows in order to start testing again.
Maybe.
Because if we change the day on the BIOS, Windows will ignore that because we've already proven that. So, well, I think we should do that now anyway. Let's set the year to 2023 in the BIOS and see if Windows boots. I think it won't, and I think we'll need to do a clean install to make progress again. I'll tell you another interesting thing. Is there was one point where I had the board to the stage where the Windows flash drive wouldn't even boot, and that would certainly explain. Yeah, I don't know. I think the year has been jumping about. I think there's no. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking because I'm just chatting right now. I'm just like I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
BIOS 1002. Apparently, this has got an old BIOS on it, so we should probably double check that at some point. Right, that's crashed loading recovery environment.
Yeah.
That's still a crash recovery environment or no? So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, clean Windows install.
Because if we also find that there is a fault with this CPU.
Yeah, because in that case, it was the CPU all along. Just not, but it's the poisoned hardware and poisoned software that has the reason why I couldn't catch it. Because that's the thing, is just, I've thrown so many spare parts at this computer that you would have thought that I'd have solved it just by brute forcing it with spare parts, like just changing the motherboard. But if this fault is just so wacky that it's poisoning both the Windows install and the motherboard, that would explain why I couldn't solve it. Are we just crashing again?
Yep.
Yeah. Why does that CPU work in this system? Although I've not exactly tried a clean Windows install on the Lianli. I'm tempted to put a different thing in there now. I thought I tried that. We're going to try that. Yeah. How are we doing for time? 1 hour 30. Okay, we've got half an hour ish. You know, like I don't have to hit stop streaming on that alarm.
Yeah, no, that's the correct time and date.
Okay.
So that's fine.
But now it won't. Would it not load the flash drive? Okay, so
where's the boot menu in this bloody
boss? It would be FA or there, yeah.
Hegemony. I'm just going to do that and do that and then do that and just leave it to that. Right, and then what do you want to put that in there in a second and then run an install on that if this doesn't boot?
Yeah, mainly just to see if we've now wrecked the flash drive. I can't imagine that's happened, but whatever. Yeah, just straight. Yeah, it won't even load the flash drive now. So this has fallen into one of the. I've seen it fallen into this state before, where it won't even load the Windows 10 flash drive. So yeah.
So do you want to take the SSD out?
Yeah, I'll unplug the drives from this, especially just because I don't want to dick around with. This has customer data on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we'll need a CPU as well. Right. So what CPU are we putting in this? It doesn't matter at the moment because we just want to check if
not the 9700K.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, no, it came out this board.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So we're going to try and reproduce the fault on a different motherboard now.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, no. No, we're just going to prove that the flash drive's bootable at this point.
Yeah. Oh, this is the 8600K.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was.
Yeah. This is the known. This is a known good chip that I'm putting in.
Yes. This should work and be zero hassle.
Yeah. Right. Confidence test.
This should be very simple. A case of ta-da! It has booted.
Yeah. Did not expect this. I'm just like I think. Well, yeah. See, we thought we had it solved, but now we're like, so maybe it is the CPU after all.
Perhaps,
Yeah.
as well. In addition to.
Yeah.
Also.
Imagine a world where your CPU is putting invalid dates into your BIOS.
Yeah.
This CPU passed mem test as well, by the way. I ran mem test with this the customer 9700. That has been through mem test, so it doesn't have a faulty memory controller in it.
Yeah. But...
Or, well, at the very least, mem test could not detect that. But this is also such a low-level fault that I don't even know how you would test for this other than these tests that we're doing now.
Yeah. I presume the CPU can't store a date.
I don't know. I don't know.
Right?
I don't know anything anymore.
Does the CPU have storage? I mean, non-volatile storage.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Chinese CPU. Right. Drives are unplugged. There's no drives. There's a CPU in there. So this should just boot up off of that flash drive because it's got nowhere else to boot from. Let's go to face cam while I do this.
Yes.
There we go.
Right.
Maybe it's a counterfeit 9700. It works exactly as a 9700, except the clock works on the Chinese New Year.
How did it boot Windows?
Oh balls! It's that's a customer SSD that's plugged in via USB.
Oh! Would you like to run Windows over USB?
It's 10 gig USB, so yeah.
Have you actually unplugged it?
It's turned off.
Oh, it's turned off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just backed that drive up before we started messing with this one.
But it's just a case of yes. Would you like to run Windows off of USB? Yeah. There we go. Cool. We have there.
Yeah.
The flash drive is not broken.
Yeah. And oh yeah. Okay. So that's with the known good CPU. So.
Right.
I mean, what now? Put the 9700 in there?
Right. If we put this in there, will it boot? Because
we should try.
We should try that.
I don't know what that would prove, but
it will prove that the issue is in this hardware, not this Windows install.
Sure.
Because that's where we're.
Yeah.
Oh no. Because... Yeah. For the sake of it taking this long to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So button at the back left of it, just for reference. Yeah. And that power button has no debounce on it, so check that the blue light actually comes on when you press it.
Right. Unplug.
Yeah. And reset. So this should. What's on this? Has this got a completed install or a half?
Completed install that boots to desktop.
All right.
But we'll probably set the date to 2097.
Yeah.
Which is not explicitly an issue, but
shouldn't be an
statement.
issue. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's doing something.
Yeah. There you go. Fine. There is an issue here because it's just booted.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I'm now going to set the date on this, just so it is not wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. It says change the date and time, and the date and time there on the change date and time is different to the actual date and time that it is.
Yeah.
Because 2076 is the highest you can select.
I think this issue is relating to certain hardware and software having different. Like it looks like it's not. It looks like. A quote-unquote valid year range is not standardized.
I can't change it below 2067.
What? Hang on a minute. Let me just plug the HDMI in.
I cannot change it below 2067.
Hang on a minute. We're going to capture this just so you guys can see what we're doing. Ugh. Right, we should be coming over to the bench now.
There you go. Right.
capture with face cam. Why is that not capturing? Reinitialize maybe?
What? That has to.
Yeah.
It cannot not be.
Oh, I think it's because it's a bad resolution. I think, yeah, I don't think we can capture this just because of the weird state. Well, you can change it and then see what happens.
Oh, I can't change the resolution.
Yeah. Oh, it's... huh. Oh, yeah, because it's got no drivers. Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. No, we can't capture it. Fine, let's go back to where we were then. Either way, Windows is not allowing us to change the date. So, yeah, Windows doesn't like the date that's programmed into it.
Or at least we can't change it back far enough for it to actually be today's year.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what we're establishing here. However, we are establishing that this is a weird, funky-ass problem.
Right, if I change it to 2067 and then click change, and then go change, and then I can set it back to 2040. Oh, God, there's only a certain range on the scroll.
Oh, that's interesting. The actual selector box takes the current day plus or minus, what, 20? 30?
Something like that.
Yeah.
2037 allows me to go to 2007. So it's 30 years.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting.
So it's back 30 years is possible.
That's probably just a restriction of this particular user interface.
Yeah.
That's just UI. That's UI design, not an engineering thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
fine.
Just seeing that, just being like, hold on a minute.
Yeah. And oh yeah, Nebbia predicted this bang on the money in the chat. So yeah, golf clap. This is
There you go. Right. I'm just gonna quickly restart that.
Right. And yes, a better way might have been to do it via command prompt, says others, which is also true. Yeah, so
absolutely.
Okay, so what date have you set it to now?
Hopefully today's date.
Okay, so we should be going to the correct date. So
yes, it is the 18th.
Yeah.
Even though I've typed it in 5 or 6 times, I'm still like, wait, is it the 18th?
All right, so if we do a clean shutdown and put that SSD back in this board and then see what
should work.
Yeah. So this will confirm. Okay. Well, yeah. No, okay. So it may not have, and it will be authoritative as well. It will set the time on the board and hold it. I don't know. If this doesn't work now, it must surely prove that there is that this CPU is faulty. I just don't understand how the CPU is faulty. So either way, I think we've like as you said, we've proven that it's the CPU or the motherboard with this example. And based on the history of the fault, we can assume it's the CPU at this point because we can reproduce. Because now I would now bet that we can reproduce this exact same behavior if we put that CPU in the customer computer. The customer computer is now fully functional, and I think if we put the 9700 in there, it's going to fall over.
And this install is functional because we just proved it over there.
Yes.
It has the correct date and time. Well, roughly correct time, but definitely correct date in there.
Yeah.
And it locked up.
Yeah. So
we aren't capturing. However,
okay, yeah, it
has locked up.
Yeah. So
fine. So the only other thing to do is to go into the BIOS and check what date is in the BIOS.
Yeah, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, when we put this one over there...
no issue.
Yeah, however, did it oh, we've changed it now, so we don't know. I was going to say, did it update the motherboard's clock to 2097?
This is correct as well. The BIOS in here is correct anyway.
Okay, yeah.
The time in here is correct anyway.
Yeah.
And had not been changed.
Yeah. Ugh. Capture with face cam. For what that's worth. Blah. Yeah. Loic says no, it's software related. Then why doesn't this 9700 boot anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had it fixed. We've got the correct date and time is set on the Windows drive and on the motherboard. And let's plug in the Windows 10 flash drive and see if we can boot from there.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, but without this SSD in there.
Agreed, yeah. So let's put in the Windows 10 flash drive, because at that point, it's like, no, it has to be the CPU.
Right.
Feels like it's a virus on the NVMe. We're on a different SSD.
Yes, the original SSD is this one.
Yep.
The one that we've just done the testing with is this one.
Yep.
This one boots absolutely fine now in that PC and on the other board. And this one boots absolutely fine in the original board, in here with a different CPU, and in there.
We can reproduce the full at will by putting this CPU into the system.
Into this motherboard.
Well, yeah.
Into this board.
Yeah.
Assuming the same effect on that board.
Yeah, it has to be a CPU issue at this point. I just can't understand what is broken about that CPU as to cause this kind of problem. But again, I don't know what kind of because that's the thing. Like, does the CPU have an internal clock system that talks to the motherboard clock? So they are both, or I don't know. We'll check for a bent pin, but it's because we've been caught out by that before. But it seems a pretty good coincidence to me.
Yeah,
I mean, the only other thing is that this CPU works if we put it in that board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can it be the CPU if it works in another? If it works in that computer, that's the only other question here.
Because it is faulty. Well, not necessarily faulty, because it requires higher voltages. And as we have demonstrated,
yes, we tried different RAM.
Various Asus boards, by default, they set their voltages too low.
Yeah.
And just this CPU is effectively a very bad bin and requires much higher voltage.
Yeah.
And because Gigabyte actually sets spec voltages high, it works because the Gigabyte one is setting a 1.2 rail to 1.2 as opposed to 0.9.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can sort of consider based off of what we've seen between like the X570 Gigabyte boards and the various Asus boards.
That would explain why this CPU, why the fault disappears if we put it into a different board, but it doesn't work into Asus boards because Asus specifically just set voltages low. So yeah.
Yeah.
Sai says we're overthinking it. I do agree. How I think at this point, like we're 99.9% there that it's a bad CPU again. However, we're just trying to figure out how it could be the CPU. Just so put it in a Gigabyte and try to Well,
that pin is out of alignment.
Which one?
There, that one there is out of alignment. If you come this way, you can see the machine's wrong.
Yeah, that's a little bit flat.
Yeah, but and then I think we've got one here which is fractionally out of alignment as well. But they are out of alignment by enough of a reflection to look a bit funny.
Yeah.
But the actual positioning to look right.
I was going to say that this one is just laying a little bit flat. And what's the other one?
And then the other one is here.
Okay, yeah.
Is in that little area there. You have to get the angle right just to see that the sheen is slightly wrong. But like
I'm gonna
the sheen is slightly wrong.
Yeah. Let's tweak them. Again, we're in the twilight zone. We're in the twilight zone. Well, I'll take anything. Like those don't. Yeah. We are off, aren't we? Yeah.
Is this power supply off? No. PC starts booting.
I'm just.
Hotspot CPU, bro.
Whoops. Oh, fuck. I may have just fucked that pin. Oh, yeah, I just fucked that pin. Yeah.
Oops.
Yep. This is my board, so that's a non-issue. However, yeah, that's probably why it was laying flat, because I think that pin was weak. Because I nudged it and it just went whoop, and I'm like, whoa. So
Oops.
that might have been why it was laying flat, because it was already weak. Okay, hang on a sec. I'm just going to look up what that pin is and just find out whether that's GG for that board. What is this? A Z3? Oh, hang on a sec. What is this? 1150? No.
1155? No, 1151.
1151. Intel 1151 pinout. 1151 pinouts. It's power, so it doesn't matter. What's that?
Is it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a power pin. It's VCC, so yeah, no one cares. Z370. Just check that I wasn't looking at the wrong one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, VCC. And the other one, which no, that one is not out far enough. I think it's been corrected at some point in the past, but there's no way that's out far enough to be worth touching.
Yeah.
But for posterity...
Also, apparently it's in an area,
4 up, 4
according
across.
to this article, is saying it is previously reserved additional power for...
And the other one that's kind of sorta is VSS, of which there are many, many. So again, I doubt that's going to cause an issue either.
However, oops.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Broken without a visit from Postal.
Oops. Oh
well. Right. What were we going to do up until this point? Because I'd wager this still works.
Try and get the 9700 to work.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. So firstly, we've got three CPUs. So we've got one.
I don't know which one this is now.
Yeah, same here. I've lost track. 1, 2, and then there's one in the customer PC.
This is a 9700.
Yeah. So that's the 87.
So it's an 8600.
Oh, that's the 8600, and then the 8700 is in the customer PC.
Yes.
So yeah.
And the 87. Yes, the 8700 is.
That's known good. Yeah. So
that's fine.
I'm going to grab the 8700 because the 8600K is back in my PC, and that's my CPU. So I'm just going to leave that in there now. And I was going to say, what we'll do is we'll put the 8700 in there because the 8700 is a known good, and we can just see if the board works. Because we now need to test that motherboard. Because,
yes.
Yeah, the motherboard is no longer trusted because I just snapped a CPU pin.
I agree.
Yeah.
I understand the point you are now making.
We have compromised the known good. Or rephrase that, I have compromised the known good.
Help me, I've been compromised.
Mission compromised.
Something we'll get him next time.
Fish and mail, boys. We'll get them next time.
Fish in the mail. Warning, food.
Yeah. So, okay. So the question. So if we work on your theory that it's just that maybe that 9700 needs more power, I guess what we want to do then is we want to confirm that the motherboard is okay. And then what we could do then is just try upping some of the voltage to the CPU and see if it comes good. Because that would confirm your theory if we just give it more power.
It would, yeah, it would be difficult. Though, wouldn't it?
Also,
because we'd need to know what the voltages do.
Yeah, I was going to say, whatever, if it were a bad rail, I don't know what rail it would be, and I would expect it to, because there's like 7 or 10 different voltage rails that go to the CPU. And
well, there's 10 that you can change.
Yeah, and I would wager it's one of the, for something like this, it could be, well, no, I don't know what it could be. Yeah. It
could be something that you couldn't.
CPU isn't under load, no use upping the voltage. Yes, but the theory is that the voltage is too low out of the box because Asus boards are extremely conservative out the box. So the theory would be is that it doesn't have that the CPU is just a really bad bin.
To the point of not being in spec.
Yeah,
that's what we're saying. It is a faulty CPU by way of requiring more voltage than the spec mandates.
Yes, agreed.
Therefore, not working. Not just a case of it's a bit rubbish.
Yeah. Right, so we've got a known good CPU now, so we're expecting the fault to disappear, and this will confirm if I've just shagged this motherboard or not. So,
does the motherboard work?
Yeah.
No.
And that will be a bummer. I haven't paid money for this board. Well, I bought this. If this is the board I think it is, I bought this one a long time back. So yeah, either way, it'll be a shame. Whoop. It'll be a shame, but not the end of the world. Also because, as I say, at the moment, I'm expecting to come out of this with a spare CPU and motherboard, which I could build into a second-hand rig. So
this board may only work with 8th gen CPUs now, because those pins are in the 9th gen.
It's posted.
Yeah, with an 8th gen CPU in it, but the pin you pulled off is unused on 8th gen and was used for power in 9th gen only.
Interesting.
So it might not work on 9th gen, and the only 9th gen CPU we've got we don't trust. Therefore, we cannot test this board.
Yeah.
Specifically.
That's not the end of the world, because like in a minute, I think we should go back to the customer computer, because we've already come to the conclusion that this is a CPU issue one way or the other, because right now we'll be able to boot from that Windows 10 flash drive, and I bet we'll be able to boot from the SSD as well. And that will confirm that it is the CPU, because we put a known good CPU in and the problem has disappeared.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to the customer PC and we'll do one last bit of testing. Well, we repeat the tests, and then, yeah, I mean, CPU fan error. Oh, you're in sysfan. Yeah. You're in sysfan, not CPU fan.
That is why that isn't in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, at the moment, we know it's the CPU. Now we're just trying to figure out if we can find a way to bully it into working for the educational purposes of, can we prove that it's a voltage issue? Can we prove that it's because the Asus boards are too conservative? Or, well, I'll rephrase that. The CPU is far enough out of spec to be conservative.
Yeah, we shall see. Yeah, there we go. Ta-da, instantly works.
Yeah. Oh, the BIOS is not compatible with the 9700. It says, we haven't considered that. Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Oh, interesting. Is that I thought? Oh, I see. I thought this was compatible with the 9700.
It is, but it needs a BIOS update.
Yes. Sorry, I thought this one was updated sufficiently. I see. Yeah. That makes sense then.
Right. Are we going to BIOS update this for posterity, or are we going to go straight to, because we're running out of time?
I think I'm just going to chuck the 9700 in.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to BIOS update this. We've got 5 minutes before my alarm goes off, but then we've got I allowed for 15 minutes of overrun time. So we're going to quickly BIOS update this, just so we can find out if I've been a tomfool and I've been testing on a board that is not compatible. Like, if that's also the case, I'll have enough egg on my face to make several cakes.
Omelette do from
Yes, many omelettes. I'll have so much egg on my face, I'll be able to make an omelette for everyone in chat. And if that's the case, then so be it. Right. Let's delete that lot.
Z370p.
I'm going to keep that there. There's the BIOS update for that board, just as an interesting. Right, Asus Z370P.
Rev 1.01.
All right. Support. Driver. BIOS firmware. Windows 11. What a hecking clown fiesta. Absolute clown fiesta. I definitely don't want this to be the answer. Like the whole thing about the time about it being the time and date. I'm happy that we've solved that we've figured that out. I'm happy that we figured that out, but I definitely don't want this to be the solution because this just makes me look like a idiot. We could have just done a talking heads. We could have just talked about Susan Wojcicki stepping down as YouTube CEO and
being replaced by someone who loves NFTs.
Yeah. We could have just talked about that for 2 hours, but no, I was like, no, I want to solve the Maloon.
I wish to solve my Maloon. That one.
Time to do a charity egging of my face in the town centre. Won't it not work now with broken pins now? Don't know. If the problem doesn't go away, it doesn't prove anything because the socket might be knackered. However, if the problem does go away, then it proves that I'm an idiot, but also it then means that maybe it's not the CPU, in which case we'd be back to an invalid date. Well, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't prove anything because knackered socket. If it does work, then it means that it might not be a faulty CPU and it was just a faulty date in both motherboards. However, we'll then no longer know how the faulty date got in there. Because right now, our theory is the CPU is corrupting the date on the systems.
Yeah, basically.
And if this works in both systems, it means we don't know how the dates got corrupted. However, we know that it was a corrupted date that was the cause of the issue. Either way, we have a fixed computer, so we're fine. It just means we don't know why it happened.
Yeah.
So yes. Oh look, time's up. Tune in next week to see if we fixed it. Yeah, imagine. Next time on Two Guys Talk Tech.
Norton giveaway.
Oh God. Task failed successfully.
We'll get him next time.
Yeah. Either way, like I say, either way, the computer will be fixed. Whether or not, if it goes out, the customer is expecting to have to pay
I'm waiting to see on Tuesday, at about 10:30, 11:15 in the Discord, you ranting and swearing at that machine because it doesn't work again.
I did that earlier on today after I put the 8700K in it and it still didn't boot. I was literally like, how? So I did the moist critical thing where it just went, huh, and faded away, But yeah, as I say, one way or the other, because at the moment, the customer believes that what I believed is that it was a faulty CPU, and we've bought this 8700 because that was the cheapest viable replacement we could find without completely swapping the entire platform. So they're expecting to have to pay for the new CPU in there, and off it goes. And one way or the other, we know that that system will work with the 8700 in it. So, could you pass me my phone, please? Thanks. So one way or the other, I have a working computer for the customer. But if if everyone is right and it's bad motherboard support, there it goes. It might be that it goes out with their 9700 in it, and the entire fault was just the motherboard thinking it was the year 5858, and this motherboard coincidentally also having an invalid date in it, possibly by swapping of SSDs. I think that would be the best guess, is that this one got poisoned by the SSD or something.
Yeah.
Don't use the USB port for BIOS flash. It goes through a mux chip and dies often. Well, if it did, then we'd just manually flash it.
But how else am I supposed to do a BIOS update via storage than by using?
I've done an awful lot more over USB than I have by programmer flashing.
But the programmer is connected by USB.
He means chip off board.
Right,
reprogram.
But the BIOS programmer is still connected by USB, which still goes through a mux chip.
No,
whichever way you cut this, it has to go over USB.
No, I think the also we're not doing BIOS flashback here, I think is the implication. I don't know. Right, whatever. All right. Okay. ME is updating.
Do not shut down or reset the system to prevent system boot up failure.
Very well.
So I should shut it down for other reasons?
Don't wear your hair. Take it easy. I'm hungry.
Hi, hungry.
Are you eating before the thing tonight?
Yes, because there is no food.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware.
What is your intention for eating tonight?
I had prepared by going to Tesco and getting a pot noodle.
I see. Okay.
So I will not join you.
Yeah, okay. I will not join you for pot noodle. This is insufficient for me.
The date is still correct.
Okay, the date is correct. We have an updated BIOS. So we're going to put the 9700 in there and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it proves nothing. If it does work, then it means that I'm a Charlie and I was testing on a motherboard that was not BIOS updated. See, I'm not saying that the chat is a liar, because so far the chat has proven to be significantly more reliable than me for this stream.
9700.
But if it wasn't supported, surely it wouldn't post with that chip in there. That's the thing that I'm pondering. But, that much being said, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it works on this platform.
Didn't everyone complain that the 9th and 8th gen were basically the same sodding things and Intel lied?
I guess, yeah. And also, yeah, Arnold was talking about BIOS flashback. Yeah, sorry, I completely misunderstood that whole thing. Yeah, Arnold was specific. Levfarm was specifically saying, do not use BIOS flashback. I guess unless the last resort, but however, yes, I have also found that BIOS flashback seems to be a bit hit and miss. It's good, it's good as a last resort, but yeah, I definitely say don't flashback unless you have a bricked board already. All right, so we're just seeing if it posts now.
This should drop us straight into UFI.
Yeah.
UFI. I don't know. I'm not sure how you pronounce that as a word.
Okay, it has posted.
Wi-Fi. There you go.
Two guys skip cider and think, yeah, the cider comes later. All right. So last we knew, this CPU would not boot from a Windows 10 flash drive. Correct?
C.
Yes.
Yes. Tack.
Possible predictions. It's going to boot from the USB flash drive, but it will still have the Windows install issue. Maybe that explains why the maybe this explains why I get the can't boot from flash drive on this motherboard, but we could boot from. But maybe that explains why that was a bit intermittent. Is that there were 2 separate faults? Yeah, that's booting there now.
Yeah.
So let's slap in a let's put in the crucial and try and do a clean Windows install. Harriscom. Don't know where you guys are going, but have a cider on me. Another great stream, thanks. Thank you very much, Harris. Much appreciated.
Do not consider the possibility of being in London and a single cider, being more than £10.
Yeah. I'm not a Charlie yet because, like, I know it booted from the flash drive, but I actually think that was a separate issue. However, it is an interesting one that we couldn't boot from the flash drive. Yeah, no, it can. Yeah, this can be the case. It can be a non-faulty CPU, and I was just testing in a motherboard that would post with it but did not support it. Yeah, I don't know. One way or the other, I missed a lot while working on this. Well, I don't know. I missed 2 things, but I don't know. Certainly, there were things that I took for granted. It would appear, such as in this instance, I took for granted that if the board posted with the CPU in, then it was sufficiently updated to support that CPU.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are some. I know that there are some of the AMD boards would boot like Ryzen 5000 without having the update installed. However, to all accounts, though, this looks like it's fixed. In which case, yeah. So we can assume that the problem has disappeared.
Certainly looks like it.
Yeah. Okay. So it means that all of my testing when I was using this board was completely invalid because the board was not BIOS updated. So that was me being a heckin' tomfool.
Yeah.
I
didn't say anything because I incorrectly assumed you'd bought a 9th gen motherboard.
Yeah. And, well, yeah.
Because I've not paid any attention to Intel's motherboard series since 4th gen.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle then, I guess we put the 9700 back in the customer PC because it looks like it was never a hardware issue.
And then it stops working.
Yeah.
And then we cry.
It looks like it was never a hardware issue, but just there a bit. Maybe it was just bit rot and the date was wrong on the motherboard, which had then poisoned the SSD.
So where did the PC come from? Was it bought in China?
No idea. Pass. It is definitely of Chinese descent because Loom does not exist in anywhere.
Is
other
the
than
owner
Asia.
of the PC travelled from not the UK?
Yes.
Is travelled from? Has travelled from?
Yes.
There we go.
So it's reasonable to assume that the PC has been imported. So yeah.
And you did not flash the BIOS.
Yeah.
You only did resets or updates.
Yeah. So the trap here is I assumed that because it posted, the BIOS was sufficiently up to date for that chip.
No, not this one.
Oh, right.
That,
yeah.
the other one, the customer one.
Yeah.
You did not flash that as in chip off board. Stick it in a programmer.
Yeah.
Do the hooby-jooby.
Yep. All right. So it looks like, we're coming around to the fact of just, I'm a heckin' idiot, basically.
Incomplete testing.
Yeah. Yep. And I just completely gotten myself so far down the rabbit hole that I was convinced that it couldn't be anything simpler.
Yes.
Because I had multiple issues that were confirmation bias, I think, is the key here. When I was swapping out parts, I think also it was confirmation bias because the failure mode for this being on the wrong BIOS version looked identical to the fault I was addressing with the other motherboard.
Yeah.
And so I assumed it was the same fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, Just confirmation bias after confirmation bias.
Yes.
Bias.
Jesus.
You know what? I'm just happy we've solved... Well, I'm happy the chat has solved it. I'm livid. I'm furious. I'm embarrassed. Like, my God. I'm so... Like, this is mortifying. But at least we got a fix.
Indeed.
Where? Oh, it's up here.
It's over there.
All right. Right, this is all open, so I'm going to come in. Ugh. Confirmation of BIOS, yeah. Also called experience bias. Sure, yeah, yeah. Whatever, yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm gonna do the perch cooler just for this thing. Actually, no, sod it. I'll put the water cooler on it because it's gonna work, isn't it? It's gonna work. Like I cannot possibly make.
Do you require the thermal paste?
No, there's loads on there.
Oh my God!
It's been done like 3 times where I've been so furious with this PC. Ah! Yeah, there's no other way to spin it. It's my cock up. However, also this is why I don't charge by the hour. Because it's my cock up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. And also, for what it's worth, I apologise to everyone in the chat where I was just like, no, it won't be that. Like, I can only hope that you guys can kind of see how I came to the conclusions I did. Because, like, the actual issue of the date, the year being 5858, and also just the way that we've seen that Windows doesn't mind if the date is out by a large margin. You know, I hope that you guys can kind of understand how I dismissed these ideas originally. However, just in this case, it was just that far out of whack that we landed in a situation that I just have never encountered and assumed wasn't possible. But yeah, right. There's that. There's power going in. Keyboard and mouse. Right, do we have an SSD in this?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that SSD has a known good install of Windows. So if this boots up, we're done, and we'll have to immediately end the stream because we are actually out of time now. I argued with myself and won the argument. Well, sure. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm wrong, and I was wrong. I fully concede that point. But also, you can see why I came to the wrong conclusion. I think this is probably going to need a couple of reboots or a BIOS reset because of the chip change. Yeah, going to a birthday do for a friend. I'm going to reset that because that's not going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Might do an off-on at the power supply for the next one, just because the problem with the reset button is you never... but this board has no diagnostic LEDs on it, so you don't actually know whether it's done the thing. Without food. Yeah, I know. I was surprised as well. Just the pub just doesn't serve food. So, yeah, we had a message from folks earlier on this morning saying, by the way, make sure you eat before you show up. One more time.
Oh, there's a rugby strip.
Yeah. More streams like this, please.
No.
Yeah. I'd rather not, yeah. Or if we do, I want them to be streams where I was right, you know. I'm genuinely furious. Like, I'll get over it, but psychic damage immediately killed. Yeah, I think it wants a BIOS reset. If it doesn't boot this time, we'll BIOS reset it. Yeah, if nothing else, at least we explored some interest. We explored the nature of the issue as well, like with the clock settings and stuff like that, and also discovered a couple of other interesting things along the way. You know, yeah. Bloody year 5858.
I just still can't believe that the SM550 has a single flash chip.
Yeah,
and it's a terabyte. Like, what the shit is this?
Yeah. BIOS reset.
Oh no!
Works.
A power cut.
In the middle of a BIOS update? How did this happen? There we go. I've just done a short the jumper for that. All right, it power cycled. BIOS flashback USB time. Oh yeah, and another confirmation from MJP UK there that, yeah, for Kerry Holzman's one, the BIOS year was 3920. So yeah, he also had an invalid date. This thing is just not posting, is it? I'm going to reseat the CPU. There is a little bit of thermal paste in the socket on this board where it's been messed about with so much. So it might just want a retouch. Come on. Actually kind of need this to go now because we're actually out of time. We're past overtime now. Although that much being... let's see. It's 6 o'clock. Yeah, this is fine.
For now, if we end now...
yeah.
Come back next week to find out the conclusion of the thrilling tale.
Yeah. We actually...
Of Graham takes psychic damage.
My God. I think what we've learnt today is that I'm actually very resistant to psychic attacks. What Pokemon is resistant to psychic?
I don't know. I don't play these children's card games. No, wait, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Never mind. On motorcycles!
It's time to die.
I'm very Asian.
Right. CPU reseat. Imagine having post issues on the board where I didn't break a CPU pen. Ignition!
You're not allowed to set it on fire. It's not made by HP. Them's the rules. Breathe. Breathe.
Beep.
See, told you the CPU is faulty.
My God, it's not the CPU. It's just the system now being a twat. It's not the CPU. It was never the CPU.
You never had your car.
Yeah. Okay, I will actually have to solve this off camera. This is going to be something stupid. This is nothing to do with what we're dealing with. This is just an upset motherboard now. This is just a put a different CPU in, put that one back in. Yeah.
Clean off 7 applications of thermal
Yeah.
paste.
Have we got? Yeah, it's all plugged in properly. I'm gonna just one more time. I'm taking the battery out.
I thought you were ending the stream.
Yes. Kill stream and try on Tuesday. Yeah. Reseat RAM. Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's just do all. I'm going to do all of the above. Just because, literally just need this to post so we can be like, there we go, it works, it's done. I will now immediately go to KFC. That's my reward for this, a KFC.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially from Shaftesbury KFC.
Have you considered getting something nice?
What, like a pot noodle?
It's dramatically better than a KFC, because it'll be hot.
Well, KFC do hot food.
Yeah, KFC does. Not the Shaftesbury one.
Mm.
It may be approximately tepid.
I'm reaching for the end stream button.
Well, thank you for coming. This has been a journey. Goodbye.
Now would be a good time to insert ads.
Here's an advert for a working computer.
From Venus Scorp. And on that bombshell, it's time to end the show. Good night, everyone.
Bye.